the most important goal
Well, hello everybody, as we're working through some of these our sound issues, but welcome here into the first ever Michigan Soccer Network high school ranking show here on the YouTube channel here. I'm alongside my partner here in crime, Mr. Dan Stickrat, working out some of the audio issues here in our brand new studio here in Shelby Township, Michigan. We're excited, Dan, to be here and to bring you guys the high school rankings here on this first ever edition on this Sunday evening.
Yep, it's another exciting season. We're 15 days into games, and you're starting to see a pattern of the top teams in each division and conferences throughout the state. Teams are starting to separate themselves a little bit, and districts are 7 weeks away, so the season will move fast, and we'll know the state champions in 2 months.
Well, yeah, that we will. And, you know, we've got a good show lineup for you here today. Earlier this afternoon, I received the 60, as it's saying, we have no audio here. So working through some of this technical stuff here. So hang on one second. I thought we had that figured out, but we do not. So that's the one thing that do not have. So go back here. See if that makes a difference. As hopefully you guys can now hear us now. Let us know if you're hearing sound. Are they able to hear us? Okay. So they're saying you can now hear us now, so I want to see some red cards as that's coming in. So again, I apologize about the sound issues as we're working through, again, some of the technical issues here early on in our brand new studio. But we are excited to bring you the rankings. As I mentioned before, we were able to earlier today receive the 60 teams here that were ranked here in this first ever rankings here for the 2022 season.
Yeah, and as it will go, especially in Division I and Division II, you'll see these rankings shuffle all around every week, almost on a daily basis. There's so many teams that are so even. A lot of ties, 1-goal defeats. In then D3 and D4, it's not as deep, but there will be some teams that really stand out at the end.
Yeah, and again, we're going to continue to try to work through some of the audio issues that we're having. So we appreciate you guys letting us know what's going on, and we'll continue to work through it. But let's get right into the rankings here that we have here right now. We'll start with each division here. Division 4 first. On your screen, you'll have Division 4, 3, 2, and 1, the 15 through 11. Starting off in Division 4, Byron Center as the number 15, 5-1-1 to start the season. We've got Plymouth Christian 3-1-1, Clarkston Everest Collegiate at 2-2-1, Marcellus Howardsville Christian 5-0, and Hinsdale Academy is currently sitting at 3-3-1.
Yeah, well, Brian Zenner is Zion Christian. The school's less than 20 years old, but this will be the best team they've field. They have most of their team back. They should be an exciting side to watch. Plymouth Christian comes out of the Michigan Independent Athletic Conference. There's always teams ranked from that conference going back to the 1980s. Clarkston Everest Collegiate, 3 straight Final Fours, Division 4 runner-up last year to Wyoming Potterhouse Christian. And Marcellus Howardsville Christian was down a little bit last year. They're back on the rise. And Hillsdale Academy has been one of those teams of staple. They seem to win districts almost every year, and back into the fold once again.
Yeah, as we take a look now at Division 3, the top 15 is Frankenmuth at 6-2, Macomb Lutheran North 3-2-1. Grand Rapids West Catholic currently sitting 4-3-1. Traverse City Christian 4-1-1. And Elk Rapids is 1-5.
Yeah, Frankenmuth comes out of the Tri-Valley Conference, which is primarily Bay City, Midland, Saginaw area. They should be one of the top teams in that conference. Macomb Lutheran North comes out of the Catholic League. They have one of the better goalkeepers in the state and seem to be a staple in the top 15 almost every year. Grand Rapids West Catholic, not a lot of success historically, but this should be one of their best teams they've had to date. Traverse City Christian is an independent up in the TC area, so they get a chance to move around a little bit, play some schools, might be a little bit larger. And then Elk Rapids is another team that seems to be in the top 15 every year. They were in the semis last year, regional finals 2 years ago. They're kind of like a juggernaut up there. They play a lot of D2, D1 schools early in the season, and once they get into playing a schedule with D3 and D4 schools, they do extremely well.
That they do. As we now take a look now at Division 2, which is on your screen, Ludington currently at 7-1-1 at 15. Thornapple Kellogg at 7-2. We've got Zeeland East at 5-1 on the year. Grand Rapids Northview 1-1-2, and then Edwardsburg is 6-2.
Yeah, Ludington switched conferences, no longer in the Lakes A conference. They moved over to the West Michigan Conference, and they'll be one of the favorites along with Fremont in that league. Middleville, Thornton, and Kellogg, and Zeeland East come out of the Ottawa-Kent Conference, which has 6 divisions. It's the largest conference in the state. They both expected to do well this year. Grand Rapids Northview has had a lot of great teams in the last 20 years, and we'll expect them to possibly be a team that might be able to get out of a district and make a run. And Edwardsburg, down by the borderline of Michigan and Indiana. Not a lot of success on the state level, but nice collection of players this year, and they could be a sleeper team at D2.
Yes, for sure. As we get now to Division 1 here, Dan. Division 1, Portage Northern is at the 15th spot at 2-0-2. Walled Lake Northern 3-0-1. At that 14, University of Detroit 4-2-1. Dearborn Fortson is currently 8-0 undefeated at that number 12 spot. And then Chippewa Valley is 3-0-1, currently sitting at 11.
Yeah, Portage Northern actually graduated 14 players out of the Southwestern Michigan Athletic Conference. But their key victory early in the season was they beat Powerhouse East Kentwood 4-0. So they could be a team that has a new collection of players that could do well. Walled Lake Northern comes out of the Lakes Valley Conference. They should be engaged in the league title chase along with South Lyon and South Lyon East. Those 3 teams seem to be the top teams in that league. UD Jesuit comes out of the Central Division of the Catholic League. Play a tough league and non-league schedule, so we'll see where they fall at the end of the season. But they've had some good teams over the years. I believe they won the state title back in 2001. Dearborn Fortson is a team that people are going to really want to watch. They've been ranked a couple times in the last 5 years, but this is the best start at 8-0-0 they've had. fine collection of athletes. They come out of the KLA East, a division that's been dominated by Livonia Stevenson in recent years, but Fortson might be the team to be in that league. And then Clinton Township, Chippewa Valley, out of the MAC Red Division. That league doesn't seem to have a clear-cut favorite, but Chippewa Valley is playing the best out of the group right now. Eisenhower at Macomb, Dakota, last year's runner-up, New Baltimore, Anchor Bay. Those schools all lost quite a bit. Grosse Pointe South was in the semifinals last year out of the MAC White. They moved up to the Red, but Chippewa Valley, a lot of coaches feel like they could be the team to beat in that league.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. If you're not happy with the rankings here today, what I would say to you is if you're a head coach or a player, get on top of your coach and make sure they get out to reach out to all the chairs at the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association. Those chairs rely very heavily on feedback from coaches and players and coaches across the state, Dan, in order to make up these decisions in regards to his ranking. This really, to be honest, this is like a preseason ranking. This is the first ranking of the season, and we expect a lot of movement here over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and you always do, especially like I said earlier, in Division 1 and 2, there's a lot of parity. And then you'll see a team or two kind of emerge that maybe doesn't have the success in the past that could break into the rankings, and then you'll see your state powerhouses. They always seem to rise to the top. There's a lot of schools, especially in the top 10 in each division, that you go back 20, 30 years, and they're there almost every year.
Well, don't go anywhere. When we come back from break, we're going to get into the top 10 through 6 for each division here, have more conversations, and get more into the rankings here. You're watching the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association High School Ranking Show here on the Michigan Soccer Network. We'll be right back.
Their first teammate, their first goal, their first coach. We take great care in making sure their first isn't their last. We're so much more than a soccer class. Come play with us today at kickstarttoddlersoccer.com.
City's Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75.
In life, things aren't scripted.
If you're an athlete, we need people like you and translate those skills to officiate.
You can get a lot out of it.
It happens in every town, in every game.
We never have a perfect game, but the rewards always outweigh the negativities.
Move, right away. Up to 6, wide open net for Koch. Espinosa gets the head on it, will they go in, and it does!
to do it before we go out on the weekend.
We do.
We do it every week.
Whether we need to or not.
We did it today.
It was really dirty.
My parents do it every day.
Hey, kiddo!
Do it every day with the Unlimited Club, only at Jack's Car Wash. Protect your car from the hot summer sun, dust, dirt, and contaminants all summer long with the Jack's Unlimited Club.
Join today, starting at just $24.99 a month.
Velasquez, shot, and that goes off the post and in. Thanks. Oh, good move by the way. Puck to 6, wide open net for Fox, Jack, and that's goal number 2. Out wide to the Oxley, inside the 18. That's for cross, the sidewasher, saved by Solly.
Welcome back here into the broadcast here. The first ever edition of the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association High School Rankings. Live right here on the Michigan Soccer Network. My name is Jonathan Turner alongside Dan Stickrad here. We're bringing you here all the rankings here on this Sunday evening, Labor Day weekend, and we appreciate you joining us. A lot of comments coming in. We have a current poll going on right now, so right now I put it out there. Who's going to be number 1 in D1? That poll will go on here until we announce the number 1 team here in the state Division 1. But right now, Troy High at 22%, Catholic Central at 56%, Rockford at 22%. Berkeley hasn't got a vote yet, but either way, a lot of comments coming in. Danny Garrett hopping into the comments section. He said Livonia Stevenson at least in the top 10. I'll take it. We'll find out soon enough if Livonia Stevenson made it into the top 10 here for the rankings. But nonetheless, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. That subscribe button, that's our way of bringing more soccer to everyone across the state of Michigan. We've been to Mackinac Island to cover games. Dan, yesterday we were out in Grand Rapids as we covered a UPSL matchup in Grand Rapids. Tomorrow we're at Keyworth Stadium. And then this upcoming Thursday, a big matchup, key matchup in the OAA Red as Troy High and Berkeley will be out at that game here on Thursday evening. So a good lineup here coming up later this week.
Yeah, and those will be 2 of the better teams to watch in Division 1 this year.
That they will. As Patty plays, my team beat DCD 3-0. So not sure, Patty, what team you play for, but maybe include that in the comments so we can hear it, and talk about it. So that's why we do this. So, but let's get into the 11 through 6 here of the rankings here. 10 through 6. Already the 11, thank you. 10 through 6. Let's get through those right now, starting with Division 4. So coming in at 10 right now in Division 4, Clinton is 4-0 on the season. Ann Arbor Green Hills 2-1-1. Grand Rapids North Point Christian 4-1-2. Allen Park Inner City Baptist 4-0, and then Wyoming Potter's House 2-2-1.
Yeah, Clinton comes out of the Adrian County area, and this will be their best team they've had. Their program has been slowly building from the grassroots up, and they have some nice players down there, and will be a team that may be able to win a district champion and maybe more.
Yeah.
Ann Arbor Green Hills is back on the rise. They've played in some state title games over the years. They're in the Catholic League now. They used to be in the MIHSSCA up until about 5 years ago. They usually have a pretty good, solid team, and they're expected to contend in their division of the Catholic League.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of really good teams here in these early rankings in the season. As we now go to D3 here, Dan, and look at number 10, Wyoming Lee, 1-1 on the season. Grosse Seal, a familiar team we've seen in the Division III lineup there at 1-2 on the season. Flint Powers Catholic, another regular that we see in the rankings from year to year. They're 2-0. Imlay City 5-2, and then rounding out the sixth there is Hudsonville Unity Christian from the west side. We were actually out at Hudsonville High School yesterday, not Christian, but they're currently sitting 3-2-1.
Yeah, while Lee is a team that broke through the rankings a couple years ago, and they should be solid sided once again. Grosse Seal, 3 straight state finals appearances in Division III. They've been the class of the Huron League for many years, and very young team, especially off the bench. A lot of freshmen and sophomores on the roster, but make no mistake, Coach Evans will have that team ready to go come mid-October with the districts. Flint Powers Catholic, a unique situation, Division III, playing in a league of mostly Division I teams up in the Saginaw Valley League. I believe they were finished in 5th, but playing a tough schedule of schools much larger. They made a run to the Final Four last year.
Yep.
Imlay City is a program that's been ranked the last 5 or 6 years, but this should be their year. They are a senior-heavy team, a lot of returning players. They are the class of the Blue Water Area Conference, and another team that will be very dangerous in their division. And Hudsonville Unity Christian, obviously everyone that follows soccer knows their boys and girls programs have been winning state championships and contending along the way. A new coaching staff, but expect for them to be one of the better teams in D3 and D4 coming out of the Ottawa-Kent Conference.
Yeah, we talked about this during the state our pregame show at the state finals for the girls here back in the spring, and talked about dynasties. And when you think about dynasties in sports, you think of Chicago Bulls, the Lakers. You think of the Patriots in football. You think of Hudsonville Unity Christian.
Yeah,
It's having as many championships that they've had here over the last number of years.
Yeah, they've had some exciting teams, especially on the girls' side.
That they have. So let's get here now into Division II. At 10, East Grand Rapids is 4-1-1. Grand Rapids Christian 2-2-3. Parmer Western 5-0 on the season. And then there's Fenton. And there Patty plays. You were asking for it. You got it. You're coming in at number 7 here on the rankings. And then at number 6 is St. Joe at 7-0-1.
Yeah, a lot to say about these 5 schools. East Grand Rapids will start there. 16 seniors on their roster. They've been hurt a little bit the last few years about kids leaving to go out of state and join some developmental academy MLS next academy teams. But with that many seniors, they won their division in the Ottawa-Kent Conference last year, so they should be definitely a team to watch in D2. Grand Rapids Christian won the state title last year. A lot of young players looking to make their mark in a proud program that's spent a lot of time in the top 15 in their division. Parma Western, they won 18 games 3 years ago and reached the the regional finals. They're going to be a very good team. They haven't lost yet. They are absolutely crushing people. They brought back most of their teams. So they're in a league where Marshall and Coldwater have dominated the Interstate 8 Athletic Conference. They should be the favorites this year. Fenton, one of the best teams out of the Flint Metro League the last decade. New coaching staff, but same old talent. They seem to be a team that high pressures people and scores lots of goals, and they've made a lot of deep runs. And St. Joseph, they're a Division II team along with Richmond Gold Lake that comes out of a league, the Southwestern Michigan Athletic Conference. The rest of it's D1 schools. They have one of the Mr. Soccer candidates in that team that we'll talk about later in the show. But they're a very strong side. Lost in the regional finals last year to Richmond Gold Lake after they split with them in the regular season.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, let's take a look here at Division 1 here, 10 through 6. Starting off at number 10 is Clarkson at 7-2-1. Northville 4-2-0. Rochester Adams currently sitting at 3-1-2. Plymouth Salem 5-1-0, and then rounding out the 6th spot there, Troy Athens at 4-1-1. I had a chance to see see Troy Athens and Clarkston here this past week in a matchup. Both teams very, very solid. I think the first time really in a long time Troy Athens hasn't had a returning All-Stater on their team to help them lead the way. But Clarkston with Richie Ludwig and what they have, there's Sebi Roy, who's coming back. What a great lineup that they have, and I expect them to go deep here in the playoffs.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't realize that when they lost 2 games to Catholic Central in less than a week's time, they were missing some players. Their goalie has been out. He will not be back till the end of September. They've played a couple of goalies. They have their Division I center back, Connor Lamming, now playing in net until their keeper comes back. So they should be a very good team. They were, I believe they were runner-up or third in the OA Red last year. That's a loaded league again. Most of those teams, we've got several of them here in the top 15 right now. Most of those teams will be capable of making runs.
Yeah, for sure. And again, just looking at this Division I and Division II, all across the board, very strong historical teams that have been very successful in the playoffs, state championship runs, deep playoff runs, and it's only going to get better from here as we're about ready to get into the top 5 for each division here, Dan.
Yeah, and Northville's in there. They got to the Final Four last year, and the thing about Northville is always have over 100 kids try out. They were in the Final Four last year. They won the KLA West. 16 seniors on that roster. This team is explosive, dangerous. They have 3 very good goalies that they can play. That's some schools out there wish they had a 1 goalie. They have 3 at Northville. If someone gets hurt, they'll have someone else to step in. Plymouth Salem's another team that it comes out of that KLA West. It's a lot like the OA Red. There's no easy games in that league. Rochester Adams has been down. They've been at or below 500 last 3 years, but they picked up most of the roster return, but they picked up a couple of academy players, and it's a different ball team this year.
No question about that. So don't go anywhere. When we come back from this break, we are going to get into the top 5 for each division. And we're excited to bring this to you here again for the first time ever here on the Michigan Soccer Network. The Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association. Wow, I just stumbled on that.
Say that 5 times fast.
Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association. Top 15 rankings here across the state for each division. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Their first ball, their first uniform, their first number, their first teammate, their first goal, their first coach. We take great care in making sure their first isn't their last. We're so much more than a soccer class. Come play with us today at KickstartToddlerSoccer.com.
Shot, and that goes off the post and in. Thanks. Oh, good move by the wing. Puck to 6, wide open net for Fox, Jack, and that's goal number 2. Out wide to the Hodgson, just inside the 18. Left foot cross to Steinwasser, saved by Solly.
Granite City Food and Brewery has 2 Michigan locations in Troy and Northville. Serves made-from-scratch food, brews in-house beer, and even has brunch every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. To learn more about their daily specials or to book a private party, visit gcfb.com. Make sure you head over to Granite City in Northville at the corner of 7 Mile and Haggerty, or the Troy location at 16 Mile and I-75.
In life, things aren't scripted.
If you're an athlete, we need people like you and translate those skills to officiate.
You can get a lot out of it. It happens in every town, in every game.
We never have a perfect game, but the the rewards always outweigh the negativities.
Every generation knows where to go when their car gets dirty. And every generation understands the timeless family tradition of Jack's Car Wash. Families know that a clean car by Jack's just rides better.
I watch soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
لا تنسون تتابعونا على Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I like to watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
Me gusta mirar fútbol en Michigan Soccer Network.
I watch soccer on Michigan Soccer Network.
I love watching soccer on the Michigan Soccer Network.
As we welcome you back here into our studios here in Shelby Township, Michigan. That's right, we are live right now in our brand new studio, designed specifically for us, the Michigan Soccer Network, and we're excited to be bringing you this first show, this inaugural show here on the Michigan Soccer Network. Our goal is to continue to bring you live shows here every single day, soccer-only shows here on the Michigan Soccer Network, alongside my host here, my co-host, Dan Stickrad, who's been around the soccer community for a very long time, Dan.
Yeah, we won't talk about the first time I played soccer in the late 70s. The coach said, go play striker. Ran out the middle of the field, ran back. I'm like, what's a striker? But I guess back then coaches had clipboards and blue jeans, and soccer wasn't really well known in the state of Michigan.
No, probably not. As we want to remind you that every single Sunday night from now until the playoffs start, we will be bringing you this high school ranking show here every Sunday night. Our goal here in 2 weeks is to bring you a full high school show from 6 to 8 p.m. every single Sunday night. We will have interviews and highlights from the games that we cover. Any game that you want to include and send highlights to us for, we're more than welcome to bring those in and put those out there and talk about them on this show. But we want to make sure that this ranking show is all about the rankings. That's what this show is about, and that's what we're going to do. So we will probably bring in some of the division chairs here at some point in time to talk about the process a little bit more, because that's an area of this that I think that the average fan, the high school fan, probably doesn't really know much about. They don't really know how this all works, right? There are 4 different division chairs at the high school level. In Division 1, we've got Kevin Tuitt.
Yeah.
Right. Division 2, who do we have at Division 2?
Ken Delaney of Coldwater.
Yep. And then Division 3 is John Evans from Grosse Ile.
Yes.
And then who's the Division 4?
Jeremy Kappas.
Captis? Okay. So those are the 4 division chairs. Those are the coaches that reach out to all the other coaches across the state of Michigan in their divisions to make sure, to figure out who should be ranked and who shouldn't. And there's also part of this process with the way rankings now happen in regards to how you're scheduled and who you're playing, and the result of those games on the Michigan High School Athletic Association website.
Yeah, that's just simply because they started seeding districts a couple years ago. So that's the way they can figure out who the top 2 seeds are in each district and kind of break them off on the opposite sides of the brackets.
Yep, and what this is, I think, it's only been in existence for about 5 years now. When it first came out, it was, again, the idea was to create a ranking, and again, it's very much like college football in the sense that, hey, we're going to take the 2 best teams, and then ultimately they'll be on either side of the bracket, and then ultimately from there you'll play your normal brackets and do your draw as normal. Is there any conversation at any level about making that ranking system, about doing more with it to be able to utilize it in a way in which you're now it's 1 through 8, and one's playing 8, 2's playing 7, and so on?
Eventually I think there will be, because soccer obviously is a sport that it keeps growing. There's over 500 schools that have soccer in the state of Michigan. Most of those teams are in the MHSAA state tournament. There are some schools that aren't for various reasons. And we're starting to see the seeding process pop up in other sports as well, which is a good thing. I think any sport that has a 1-game elimination bracket form, at least trying to break up the top seeds in every district instead of having 1 play 7 ranked teams in the opening night of a state tournament, and say like soccer or basketball or baseball. This kind of breaks it up a little bit, but there are always be the power pockets around the state where there's just so many good teams in a district, and it's really difficult to survive in the bands.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And it's the one thing about soccer, in the state of Michigan is that separate, from football, is that every team that wants to play in the playoffs can, as long as they meet certain criteria. I believe they have to play in a total of 10 games.
Yes.
Is the criteria in order for you to be able to go in and be included in district play, and then obviously battle for that state championship in Division 1 through 4. If you didn't know that's how that works. Let's get into the division, the 5 through 1 rankings right now, the top 5 teams in the state for each division here, starting with Division 4. At that 5 spot, Royal Oak Shrine Catholic 5-1-1. Granville Calvin Christian 4-0-1. Grosse Pointe Woods University Lickett 4-0. Lansing Christian 7-0, and in the number 1 spot here in Week 1, Hartford currently sitting at 5-0 on the season.
Yeah, we'll start with Royal Oak Shrine Catholic, another school that's been very good in boys and girls soccer in recent years. Their girls team won a title in 2019. Expect them to do well in the lower divisions of the Catholic League. They're in a tough district, so getting out of the district will be a crucial step for the Knights. Granville Calvin Christian, another school that seems like they graduate a ton of players every year that are all conference, all regional, all state, yet the next year they're back in the top 15. Grosse Pointe Woods University Liggett, say that 5 times fast. Another team that has been ranked, literally going back to the 1980s. Just a solid program. They always seem to have solid players, and they played in the state final 3 years ago. Lansing Christian's another team out of the Greater Lansing Athletic Conference that seemingly does very well in boys and girls soccer, and we'll expect to see them making a deep run in D4. And then Hartford, is this the year they finally knocked down the door? This program has been consistently a top 15 team the last decade. Last year they did get ranked number 1 at portions of the season, but were upset by Holland Black River Academy in the regional finals. They have several All-Staters and All-League players back, and this could be the year that Hartford, the small town in southwestern Michigan, stands alone at the end of the season. We'll see.
That we will as we get into the top 5 now here for Division 3. Number 5 is Pontiac Notre Dame Prep at 5-1-2. And then at Holland Christian 5-1-1. Grand Rapids Catholic Central 3-1-1. Country Day 7-2-0. And then Grand Rapids South Christian, number 1 spot, 5-0-2.
Starting with Notre Dame Prep, last year they got into the regionals, were upset by Michigan Center in the regional semis, so they have most of their team back. They're a team that would love to make a deeper run, get to the Final Four. They have not played in the state finals, I believe, since 2000. Holland Christian spent some time in number 1 and top 5 last year. They did lose their best player to graduation, but expect them to stay up there. They have several players back that received some postseason honors last year. Grand Rapids Catholic Central won a state title less than 10 years ago. They're back on the rise. Another quality team that comes out of the 6 divisions of the Ottawa Kent Conference. Detroit Country Day. They've won 15 state titles in the MHSAA plus one in the late 70s in the old Suburban Coach Association state tournament. Program rarely goes away. They're independent. They don't have a conference, so they play schools from all four divisions. And in more years than not, they'll at least win a district. And we've seen them play in so many Final Fours I can't even count. And again, they've won so many state titles. Grand Rapids South Christian is a team that has been outstanding in the Division III in the last decade. They lost in the finals in 19 and 20, and they won last year the state championship. I believe they were 22-0-3. They did lose some key players, but again, good programs don't rebuild; they simply reload. And South Christian is one of those teams that seems to be a factor every single year.
Yeah, and they do as we now head into Division II, Dan Stickrad. And Division II here at the number 5 spot, Riverview currently sitting at 9-1 overall on the season. We head to Brother Rice 5-1-1. Grand Rapids Forest Hills Northern 4-1, and then Grand Rapids Forest Hills Central 4-0-1. And then that number 1 spot is Gull Lake at 8-0.
Yeah, Riverview is a team that has come on strong again in the last decade out of the Huron League downriver, a league where Grosse Seal has shined for many, many years. And historically speaking, Grosse Seal, Woodhaven, and Allen Park Intercity Baptist have been the 3 most steady teams in the downriver communities. Riverview has definitely dented that group, a team that could be very dangerous come the end of the season. Brother Rice comes out of the Central Division of the Catholic League. They have not won a state title since 2009. They went with a lot of freshmen and sophomores 3 years ago. They built back up, got hot at the end of last season, made a run to the state final and lost to Grand Rapids Christian. Very dangerous team. Most of their roster is back. Several future college players on that roster. All 3 Forest Hills schools, which should be very good. Forest Hills Eastern is not ranked yet, but expect good things from them this year. Northern and Central. Northern actually got moved up to D1 for a couple years. Now they're back down in D2. Central won a district in D2 last year. They were actually the 2015 D1 state champions. Solid program, so expect those 2 teams to contend in the Ottawa-Kent Conference. And Richland Gull Lake, they've been to the Final Four 3 of the last 4 years. They won the state title 2 years ago. Last year they lost in the semifinals. This team is loaded. They have an offense that has several players kind of waiting in the wings the last couple of years. Now it's their turn to shine. They are rolling people left and right. This team is electric, hasn't lost yet, and expect them to be one of the teams likely in the Final Four come the end of the season.
Yeah, I would expect that as well. And so without further ado, let's get into the the top 5 teams in Division I here in the state of Michigan. At 5, Rockford, currently at 5-0. We've heard some things about Rockford, and we'll talk about that in a second. Okemos, currently at 5-0-2, the defending state champions from Division I here a year ago. Berkeley at 10-0 right now on this season. Troy High is 5-0, and Detroit Catholic Central is holding up at that number 1 spot to start off this season's rankings at 8-1-0. Which we look at the poll, 43% of you had Troy High at that number 1 spot. Catholic Central was 40%. Everybody else a little bit didn't get as many votes. So, but not too shabby. 1 and 2 for both those schools. I think arguably you could argue that both those schools could have been 1 or 2. Either way would have been fine.
Yeah, you're 1 and 1A.
Yeah,
those teams are very deep, very talented. A lot of future college players. Wouldn't be surprised if either of them stand at the top of the pyramid at the end of the season. Rockford is going to be a team you're going to have to watch this year. Of all the great teams that come out of that mega conference, the Ottawa-Kent Conference, they've kind of been very good for a long, long time, but have not been able to make a run. They've been standing in the shadows in D1. We've seen a lot of East Kentwood teams have been in the Final Four time and time again. Grand Haven's had some good teams. But this is it. They are stacked from the goalkeeper up to the forward position. This team hasn't lost yet. Expect them to possibly be a team playing on the last day of the season. Okemos has not lost a game since October 27th of 2000 against Traverse City West, 4-0. They're all unbeaten after a couple weeks this year. Last year they went 20-0-4, won the state championship. They lost some key players off that offense, but are very good in goal in the back line. They do have an exceptional player with Leo in the midfield. Again, they're going to be a tough out, and they won't lose a lot of games this year. Berkeley comes out of the OA Red Division. Again, that league is stacked. They always seem to be there. Just that they're in a tough district every year, and some of those districts you'll have 3, 4, 5, 6 quality teams, and only one team can win. So Berkeley definitely has a team that could win. They won a couple of Saturday tournaments this year, 10-0 to start. They're 2-0 in that league. A lot of balance. I believe they have 10 seniors, so they're a very good team. And again, you go back to Troy and CC. What can you say about those teams? Troy lost one game last year to Anchor Bay in the regional finals. 14 kids back. I believe they have 7 or 8 starters. And Catholic Central actually did not win the Catholic League, their Central Division, or a district last year. Lost to Northville.
Lost to Northville
in the district finals 2-0. They avenged that loss in their season opener. A lot of that team's back, but having Mr. Kyle Pearson come back from the academy, he has never played high school this year, but he is on his offensive tear. He has taken that team to new levels, and they do have one loss in the season against Midland Dow, another team that was very good last year, was ranked, won the Saginaw Valley League. However, Pearson was not there. Dow is another team that might crack the rankings again this season, so that's not a bad loss per se. So that wraps up the rankings, but there's some exceptional teams, and we'll see who is last man standing in each division here in about 7 weeks.
I was going to say that. I mean, you know, you're looking at Troy High returning 14 players from last year's team. Catholic Central has Kyle Pearson. They've got a number of phenomenal players on that team. We had a chance to see them firsthand here this past Thursday night as they faced off against a familiar foe in Brother Rice. They won that game handily, 5-0. And, you know, Kyle Pearson, I mean, talking about carrying a team on your back, he scored 3 goals in that game, probably could have scored close to 6. It was a phenomenal showing for him. Definitely a Mr. Soccer candidate for sure this year. We mentioned Richie Ludwig from Clarkston, you know, another candidate who we believe, based on the conversations, is a Mr. Soccer candidate. Scored a goal against Athens this past Tuesday. And again, another player that's just going to help Clarkston go. Not that you need one player, you need a whole team of players, but if you want to have Richie Ludwig or Kyle Pearson on your team, I would want one on my team. So.
Yeah, I mean, those two guys, I mean, everyone across the state is talking about them. There's a host of others. Luke Nicholson at South Line East, another former academy player playing high school. East will be a team that might break into Division II rankings this year. They'll contend in their conference. Christian Shannon at St. Joe's, another player. Leo Arana at Okemos. There's a host of others. It's kind of common when you have dozens of coaches that mention the same kids, and players are coming from
Jordan Klein, a player from Utica Eisenhower, is a name I've been hearing here lately as well. Now, the thing about Jordan Klein, which I think is important to talk about, especially as we start talking about players and individual players and teams, is that, you know, unfortunately, when it comes to things like soccer, you know, if you're a defender or a holding defensive midfielder, you're not probably going to get as many stats as a Kyle Pearson or Richie Ludwig, who play up top, right, more attacking roles, right? So the stats might not be there for a player like Jordan Klein, but he has all the pieces to be a phenomenal player, not only at this level, but at the next level.
Yeah, and at Utica Eisenhower, they graduate, I believe, 12 kids, and they have a new coaching staff, so this kid will have a chance to step up and be the center focus of that team. And out of that MAC conference, there are several teams that appear to be somewhat average to start the season, but you never know which team will get hot, and Jordan Klein's one of those players that could, you know, put a team on his shoulders. And last year, they were unranked. They pulled a couple upsets, won a very tough district. Klein was one of the players in that lineup, and he's a player that a lot of coaches in Macomb County have talked highly about.
So looking at these rankings, 15 teams per division, are there anything that surprises you, Dan? You know, you've been doing this for a long time. I've been involved in soccer for a long time, but not necessarily involved in the ranking part of this. But is anything here surprising you in this first ranking of the year?
Not necessarily surprises me. There's a couple teams I would rank a little bit higher, a couple I would drop personally based on conversations I personally had with coaches around the state. There's a few schools that aren't ranked in here in each division that chances are before the year's over they will be in there. There's so many leagues where you look at 6, 8, 9 schools in a particular league and you're like, wow, like every team here is quality. They've got a lot of club players. They all got returning all-state players. there's so many games that are
Yep.
it's one or two plays is the difference. There really isn't a difference in the talent level. So you never know how that's going to play out. And then, again, you have over 500 schools now in the state with soccer. It's growing, and it has not stopped growing, and that makes it exciting because you can say that there's a guarantee of a certain team, but there never really is a guarantee when it comes to high school sports.
No, there's not a guarantee, and it's crazy. One of my good friends, Jimmy Cichura, the head coach of Troy High School, and the success he's had there, not only at Troy High School, but Notre Dame Prep on the girls' side. He says something, soccer is one of those sports where, it can drive you nuts because it's, any given day, it doesn't matter, anyone can win. And yeah, granted, we can talk about talent and just different things, but it's true. I mean, any given day, you could have a team that can just outwork someone, out-muscle you, do all the things necessary to win. And then there's that bad bounce that can happen too, right? The crazy bad bounces of the game of soccer, which cause teams to win and lose games every single day. So you're right. The game of soccer is a fun one, and we're glad that we're bringing it to you here on the Michigan Soccer Network. Keeping in mind that what we do here at the Michigan Soccer Network is all we do is cover soccer. We don't cover anything else. We could call ourselves a Michigan Sports Network, but that. We believe that because of how fast soccer is growing in this country, that especially here in Michigan as well, that this deserves its own channel, its own network, and that's what we're doing here each and every day. Tomorrow afternoon, we'll be out at Keyworth Stadium covering the third annual Yemenis Community Championship. It is they've been three championship games tomorrow right here on the Michigan Soccer Network. We're working out all the scheduling details in regards to those games here tomorrow on Labor Day, and then the upcoming here on Thursday, we'll be out at Troy High School as they welcome in Berkeley, so number 2 versus number 3. All right, so we'll have that game for you live here at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on the Michigan Soccer Network. And then on Friday, rivalry games continue here for us on the network as Grosse Pointe South hosts Grosse Pointe North out in Grosse Pointe. So we'll be out there on Friday evening. And then on Saturday, Romeo High School welcoming in De La Salle High School in that matchup at 1 p.m. So a really good week of games coming up here once again. Next week, we get into Troy Athens. That's going to be a good matchup. That's, again, 2 versus 6. Again, top-ranked teams. And then we're going to see later in the month, we're going to see Plymouth Salem taking on Plymouth Canton.
Yeah, Canton's another team that is senior heavy. Expect for them to possibly break into the rankings. They played in 3 state finals in the last 11 years, and this is a team that if they can get past the likes of Northville, Catholic Central, they could make a run. Plymouth Salem is in that pocket as well. Livonia Stevenson's not ranked, but a team that, very few schools have won as many games as they have in the last 4 decades. I mean, so.
Yeah, no question about that. Hey, we got comments coming in left and right. We appreciate your comments. One thing I would say is, hey, if you have a question for me or Dan here right now, we'll take your questions in regards to any of the rankings. We love to be able to engage with you, our viewer, and our audience. But coming up after this, not on our network, but we are good friends with Craig Hearn and what they're doing over there at We Are Soccer. So please head over there after this at 9 p.m. to head over and check out what they're doing there at We Are Soccer. They cover all things professional soccer, EPL, Bundesliga, MLS. They cover the USL Championship in regards to Detroit City FC. So a lot going on there. That comes on at 9 o'clock Eastern here, just in a few minutes. So when you're done watching us in 4 minutes, you can go over there. But a good show that they have on their network over there at We Are Soccer. So
yeah, and I might add with the rankings, there are some schools that, for various reasons I said earlier, that do not compete in the MHSAA state tournament in the Upper Peninsula due to a lawsuit that started almost 20 years ago in 2007. They were forced to play out of season, but they stayed in season, but they cannot play in the state tournament. So shout out to Marquette. They come south of the bridge. They play a lot of good teams every year. They've won 14 straight UP Division I titles. In the homeschool circuit, we got West Michigan Heat out of Byron Center, Michigan. They actually will play Division I through Division IV schools in MHSAA. They won a state and national homeschooling championship last year, national title. That's the 9th time in 11 years a Michigan homeschool team has won a national championship.
Wow.
Out of the Michigan Association of Christian Schools, the Division I defending state champion, Rochester Hills Christian, and D2 was Vassar Juniata Christian. Both those teams have most of their rosters back and are expected to make a run for the titles there as well. So exciting soccer at all levels across the Michigan high school soccer circles. I can't wait to, once we get in the state tournament, to see which teams make a run to the Final Four. But we have a lot of league races. We'll be digging into some of those league races on the MichiganSoccerNetwork.com over the next week or so. We'll break down each division. We'll look back at some of the championship teams at the league, district, regional, state, championships last year. We'll get really deep and detailed, and hopefully we can deliver an unprecedented preview online for the Michigan soccer community.
Yeah, no question. Yeah, so make sure you head over to MichiganSoccerNetwork.com and just check out the news section. Dan Stickred, our director of news, will be taking care of all of that. All those articles here on the MichiganSoccerNetwork.com website. Our schedule there is there as well. Our goal of the week, which will start back up here on Tuesday, we will select five goals that were scored during our broadcast from the previous week. We'll allow you, the viewer, to vote for those. That will be available starting on Tuesday morning, and we're excited to bring those a tremendous amount of goals that were scored last week, Dan. A number of fantastic goals. That would just be a goal of the week, but honestly a goal of the year nominee. So some tremendous nominees that we'll have out here on Tuesday, so make sure you check back for that. And we're excited that this is going to be a wrap here on ranking show number 1 here on the Michigan Soccer Network.
Yep, and several more to go.
Several more to go as we will continue. We want to thank a special shout out to the Michigan High School Soccer Coaches Association for getting us the rankings here this afternoon. We expect rankings to shuffle up quite a bit here over the next number of weeks as teams continue to shake things up with their schedule. Wins and losses are going to dictate what happens in regards to these rankings. And at the end of the day, these rankings, while they do mean something on some level, when it comes playoff time, it doesn't matter. All right, and that's something that we will talk about, I'm sure, quite a bit here on the Michigan Soccer Network. So, but without further ado, Dan, anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No, just we're ready to go. We've had 15 days of game. We had a little break here for the holiday weekend. A lot of schools will really dig into the meat of their schedule, mainly their league schedules. Conference races will start to take form. And, again, state championships are about 2 months away.
Well, that they are. So we want to say thank you very much for tuning in here tonight, and we'll see you here on the Michigan Soccer Network next Sunday at 8 p.m. live as we release the top 60 rankings of high school boys soccer here.